He might not be from Krypton, but he's heads above the rest. His knowledge can't be questioned. You can put it to the test. So if you want to hear the truth and have nowhere else to go, I'll give you the solution. Just tune into his show and just kneel before Zod. Kneel before Zod. Kneel before Zod. Kneel before Zod.
So, welcome everybody to the Phantom Zone. It is the most earth-breaking, ground-shaking, but never media show money-taking. The man, the myth, the legend, the most electrifying reviewer and fan of hell in all of the interwebs, General Zod. And what do I have to say? What do I have to talk about? Well, today my editor decided it wasn't going to work, and I wanted to have this review up. So I said, fuck it, let's just go live. So I decided to do a live review. And if you guys would like to see me do more live reviews where as I'm reviewing something, I can interact and you can ask me questions about the movie and whatnot, let me know in the comments if you happen to browse and see my lovely face, or if you just happen to like this style of me being able to interact with people as I review a movie and or a show. And through the month of October, my favorite month, I will be doing a lot of horror movie reviews. I've watched a ton of horror movies, and there's so many better horror movies than normal movies out that I'm thinking I might have to do a separate ranking for all of the horror movies this year, because they have by far surpassed any actual movies I've seen thus far. So if you guys are into that, let me know. But why am I going live? Why am I here? I am here to talk about the new Hellraiser 2022, and my thoughts and overall opinions and things like that. So before I get started with all that, let me give you guys a little bit of background about my knowledge and what I bring to the table as far as the discussion goes with Hellraiser. Now, as far as the Hellraiser franchise goes, I have nostalgia for, believe it or not, Hellraiser 3, Hell on Earth, and Hellraiser 4, Bloodlines. I saw both of those movies when they came out in the theaters as a young villain. I always thought Pinhead was a unique kind of design. I always thought the lore was interesting, and thus I went back through and I watched Hellraisers 2 and 1, and I really fell in love with the world and what Clive Barker had set out to build with these movies and kind of the lore behind everything. But I'm not the biggest, let's say, like die-hard Hellraiser fan out there. Like people who are really kind of crazy about the lore and every little intricate detail. I did read The Hellbound Heart. I thought it was pretty good. I think Clive Barker, as far as an author goes, it's much better conveyed certain things in the novel than they've ever been able to do fleshed out. But with that being said, what do I think about this new Hellraiser movie, this new attempt to reboot a franchise which, quite frankly, has needed to be rebooted? Let's be real with each other. The past, 9 movies have been shit. This is by far, and I've gotten into arguments, like my top Hellraiser movies are 1 through 4. Some people don't like Bloodlines. I think it's fine, but like I said, there's nostalgia there. But most people like the first 2 movies a lot. And since then, Hellraiser fans have been in this rut where the other movies that have come out from 5 on have been absolute garbage. I've seen every single Hellraiser movie, and unfortunately, and they've all been trash. The Cenobites and Pinhead himself has been relegated to sort of background. Some movies were repurposed in the franchise to be a Hellraiser movie in order to get them up off the ground. So this franchise has been struggling for a couple of years. This franchise needed a reboot, and I think this is a good start and possibly a good beginning to a long-term franchise. So let's dive right into it. But first, before I begin with my initial review, all of you YouTubers out there, if you are stuck in the fiery pits of hell and you want to redecorate and redesign your hellscape whilst you torture your victims, might I suggest that you go to moviepalettes.com. Moviepalettes.com, they do some great art. So this piece that I got personally from National Treasure 2, and I believe it's over here. You can see this is from the movie Book of Secrets. This is the color sequence of the movie in its entirety. Yes, moviepalettes.com transfers the colors of the movies into a palette-like form so that you can have a sort of really artistic piece of the movie. So go to moviepalettes.com, enters my promo code Zone15, and you will get 15% off all purchases. Links in the description. Let's get started with the review. So Hellraiser 2022. I think my review, I want to tackle it like I did in my video, but I couldn't edit it, with my negatives first, and then I'll move to my positives. Now, like most horror movies, Hellraiser 2022 has the most awful people I have ever seen in a movie. These people are absolutely the worst characters. I mean, not as bad as some movies as I've seen. They're good actors, but they're just not good people. And the problem with this is when you have dark material like Hellraiser 2022, you need somebody to follow. It's very visceral, and it's very there's a lot of graphic violence and things like that. Not particularly in this movie, and I'll get to that, but it's just a very dreary story. The concept is very dark. And so my problem that I had with these characters in particular was nobody was particularly likable. Trevor was okay. Riley was a mixed bag for me. But overall, there's no one to really latch on to root for. So when the Cenobites come, I'm kind of hoping everyone just gets killed because I really don't like any of these characters. And that goes back to what I think David Bruckner's main concern was more diving into the lore. And once again, I'll jump into that a little bit later. But the world and the Cenobites, I think, for most Hellraiser fans or for people watching this, are going to be the thing that hooks people in. So if you don't care about that, then there's really nothing else to reel you into this movie. Conversely, if you do have to go through weak characterizations and, a generic backstory for these characters, as opposed to fully fleshed out and building some kind of relationships as they go about. So all in all, I was not particularly engaged in any of these characters or where they were going or any kind of development they may have. I just really did not give a shit about anybody. And that's a pretty big negative for me. Also, to a little technical aspect, a few of the kills, whilst the CGI and practical effects were pretty well blended, there were a few parts where I could kind of tell where the CGI was. There was a scene in the beginning. It's in the trailer where the dude's chained up. The angle that it's shot at, you can kind of see where it's a little bit wonky. The CGI doesn't really do it much justice, but that's a small nitpick. And I'd say overall, there's a particular scene that offs one of my favorite Cenobites. I did not particularly appreciate that too much. I really liked this particular Cenobite's designs and things like that. And so I was a little bit miffed at how that came about. It was a cool visual. It adds a lot to the lore that was not previously established. But I was kind of upset that they took this out of the game where it was one of the coolest designs that was walking around. So overall, the characters are not very strong in this. The pacing throughout the movie is deliberately slow. And whilst I do appreciate a slow build, I feel like, much like with Bruckner's previous work, The Ritual, there are issues within the way he paces a movie, where even when the action starts to pick up, there's deliberately a slowdown in between. And if you watch his movies, you understand what I mean. And it really takes you out of the momentum that the film builds and everything that it leads up to. And it knocks you out as a viewer of these situations. Now, there are kills sprinkle in here, and they are pretty gnarly, but it's very sparingly and doesn't really ratchet up the gore until about, I don't know, 50 minutes into the film. So it's a 2 hour movie, and the last 50 minutes from there on is pretty breakneck pace. Uh, and so that was my issue. And really, once again, getting back to the characters, they don't have an arc. Riley kind of has an arc, but I don't feel the change from where she started to where she ends up. Like, yeah, there's change, but it doesn't feel like she got greatly impacted by this experience. And I could just need to see another one of these movies, but I just don't feel the change of this character. Like, she goes through some horrendous shit, and uh it doesn't seem as if it leaves much of an impression. So, I mean, and once again, I'm picking at this because I do like this, and I'll get to my positives. But hey, Phantasmagorical, I am talking Hellraiser. Strap on in. It's going to be a bit of a review. Giving you my thoughts on the new Hellraiser 2022. If you like this, let me know. I might do other movie reviews like this because my editor is being an ass and doesn't want to work. So, all through this movie, the characters I felt never went through an arc. And one of the most intriguing and interesting characters, who's the overall villain of this piece, besides the Cenobites, he's cool when he shows up, but I really wanted to see more of this guy and know more of his backstory. And the movie doesn't really flesh that out very well. So overall, I just felt like character development was lacking. As far as visuals and aesthetics, yeah. Don't worry, I'm gonna lay it out. I'm gonna try not to spoil anything. I don't want to give away the ending in case people haven't seen this and they come across it. I'm just gonna kind of lay out the baseline, give you guys my thoughts, and I won't spoil the film for you. So overall, I felt the character development for our heroes was kind of generic. So, what is this movie about? What is Hellraiser about? Well, I'll give you the synopsis because it's the best way for me not to ruin this movie. A young woman must confront a sadistic supernatural force behind an enigmatic puzzle box responsible for her brother's disappearance while dealing with addiction. So, basically, Riley, our protagonist, she is addicted to pills and alcohol. And through some shenanigans, she finds the lament configuration, or the box, or whatever Hellraiser enthusiasts like to call it. And shenanigans ensues, and she must figure out what the deal is with the box and how to get her brother back, who has suffered the fate of being pricked by the box and offered up to the Cenobites. And that's a briefest description I can give without giving too much away. So what did I think of the setup? I thought the setup was good. If you've seen the trailers, it kind of sets the story up where this rich guy has gotten the box, and he's essentially sacrificing people for unknown reasons. And I think this setup, and especially the beginning, really lures you in. There is a pretty gnarly kill, and I think that stuff really jolts people into it. Now, my problem is midway, they slow down the action to kind of get you to know these characters. But like I said in my bit with the characters, you don't really get a sense of who these people are. Riley, I'm still mixed on because they all you know is she's an addict and she has a brother. And apparently he's tired of her shit, kicks her out. And that's about it. That's all the character development she gets. And there is a theme about addiction, and that is tied up at the end. But my issue is when somebody's addicted to substances, and if you want to tackle like substance abuse and the horrible effects, I think the movie should have took time to flesh her out and like what she would do to get a fix, because I don't feel at any point she's not in control of her compulsions and her addictions. And this is really to detriment to the movie because addiction is it has a huge implication towards the end of the film, but there's no buildup to make that revelation really hit. And I think this is where the movie struggles every Hellraiser movie has done this, is balancing the lore of Hellraiser with the characters in the world. And I don't think we've yet gotten a director who can balance both in equal measure. I do commend this because this is a 2022 film that does not disrespect the lore. It doesn't change anything. And I want to address something because there were talk on the internet about a female Pinhead. Shut the fuck up. The original Hellraiser book, the book that this is all based on, that was made by the man himself, the author, the mastermind, Clive Barker. Originally, Pinhead is considered genderless. He has no gender. He, she, it does not have a gender, does not identify as anything. So the creatures identify themselves by pain, pleasure, and things like that. So people getting upset that there was a female Pinhead, that's just stupid. If you are a fan of Hellraiser, you know that in the original lore, it's alluded to Pinhead being genderless. So I think that Jamie was a great pick for the role. I had no clue she transitioned from male to female. I used to watch this show called Census 8. She was spectacular in that show. There's quite a bit of nudity. They showed her. I had no clue she used to be a man. So kudos, first off, because actually having a transgender fits this role perfectly. Perfect casting. But secondly, wow. I told Bitchy, I was like, wow, a dude who looks better than most females. That is crazy to me. But if we're going in a progressive route, this was the perfect role, and she knocks it out of the park. Her voice is modulated, you could tell, but I think she delivers the lines, and her presence is not trying to surpass what Doug Bradley did as Pinhead, but kind of make her own version of that. She's the priest. This is a different character from Pinhead. So I think she really takes this character and makes it her own. And yeah, she says a couple of the classic lines we all know and love, particularly my favorite, "We have such sights to show you." She delivers it pretty well. I definitely felt like she had the gravitas and really carried this like leader role. The great thing about this too is that they don't make her character over the top. She's not like saying a statement about men or things like that. It's just the presence she carries is menacing, and you have a feeling when all of them come forth that she is the one who leads these groups of Cenobites. They have some kind of reverence for her, and it's not explained how she got the position she got, but it really doesn't need to be. And I think that her on-screen presence enough to really, like, she stands out above the rest of them. Now, the designs of, hey, Brett, what's up? Doing my review of Hellraiser 2022, non-spoilers, so don't worry. Just giving thoughts, ideas. I'll give my rating because my editor sucks. Overall, I think Jamie, she was a great pick for this role. I don't care that she's transgender. I think that it was a good choice because Pinhead doesn't have a gender. You chose a transgender. This was the first time I've actually seen casting that matches the original source material. And I had no clue she was originally a dude. So kudos. Jamie, give that doctor an extra fucking tip or whatever, because I've seen her naked in Census 8, and I swear to God, I had no clue that was originally a male. So good on her. I'm glad she's getting roles like this. She is a very good actress, and I think she brings her own spin to the Pinhead mythology. And in all actuality, she's not taking the place of Pinhead. She is a completely different version, and actually more closer to the book version than Doug Bradley. What most people don't know is in the original Hellraiser, the studio made Clive Barker change the sex of the character to a male, and hence we got Doug Bradley, which, taking nothing away from his performance, he's an icon. But I do respect when they do change it to how it was originally supposed to be, not changing it to appease everybody, but changing it to what the original material was. That's an okay change to me. Brett, I see what you did there. Yeah. Brett, amazing work. I could not tell she was a dude originally. And I don't have a problem with that. I was like, look, give me the actor who deserves to play the role. And I think she does a great job embodying what the priest in the story is supposed to be. Now, the visuals of this are absolutely amazing. If you guys have ever seen The Ritual or The House that David Bruckner has done, they have great cinematography, and this movie is no exception. Some of these shots are absolutely gorgeous. There is a shot in particular towards the end. I'm not going to say because I don't want to spoil it, but it's absolutely astonishing. And the very end, like the very, very end, is a quite stunning shot. Very terrifying, but stunning. And I think that's what you need with a Hellraiser movie, is the visuals are supposed to be this beautiful and horrific kind of thing with these movies, because it mixes the beauty with the horror. And that's always what this franchise has kind of been, or should have been. So I think that the shots and the shot composition, the lighting, and the effects are all on cue. This movie, if most people didn't know, was heavy practical effects. There was some CGI. The CGI is a little wonky in a couple of places, but the practical effects, you could tell, dominate this production. It's very gnarly. There's a kill in here in particular where I was, and I just watched this. I was like, oh my God, no, God, no, oh no, that you can't bend that. Oh God, like that. It was pretty good. I like a lie. Like, there's a couple of scenes in this movie where I don't wench often, but what scares me, or what gets me in a horror movie, is not so much gratuitous violence just to be violent, but certain types of things, puncturing things and angles and things like that your body is not meant to bend. That freaks me out. So there's a scene, and it'll be towards the end. Look for it in the mansion. And I was just, oh God, it was some shit. There is also a few other scenes with the lore. So this movie really adds on to the lore of what was established in the previous Hellraiser movies. And that is that the lament configuration, I always thought to myself, and it's never been explained in any other Hellraiser, I always thought, why the hell are people wanting to open this box up? Like, what is the big deal? Why does everybody search for this? And they don't give you a definitive answer, but they do elaborate on the appeal of sacrificing people and getting reward for your sacrifices. Although you're dealing with something from hell, so there's always two sides to this reward. And I like how they really flesh out the lore. There's a couple of scenes where they're reading through and you find out a great bit more about the box itself. And speaking of which, the box in this movie is probably the strongest character. This is probably the best I've seen as far as the design work goes for this. It's creepy as shit. And the way it changes throughout the movie to these different configurations, and it's just fucking terrifying. You always have a feeling of dread when these people are screwing around with this thing. Like, I'm sitting there screaming, like, no, man, don't open that. But, you know, we wouldn't have the movie if people didn't do stupid things. So I really appreciated that. On my negative sides, and this is back to the characters, a horror trope is in this that I truly hate. And every horror director, if you happen to stumble upon my review, please take this into consideration. Stop making people trip over shit that isn't there. Literally, this dude is running, okay? We're at the back end of the movie. This dude is running, and I swear to God, I paused it. He trips over absolutely nothing. There is nothing, not a stone, a fucking pebble, a tree branch, nothing. I mean, in 2022, this pisses me off because it's so lazy to try to get people into position to do something you need them to do for the scene. And I understand that, but I hate the concept because it's annoyed me since the fucking inception of horror movies. I hate this thing, and whether it's guys or girls, where they run, they scream, they trip, they fall, and they wait 20 minutes until the thing's up on them, and then like, what the fuck? I know. Look, I'm not in a situation where I'm being chased by like demons from hell or whatever, but I'm pretty sure if I trip and fall, I'm not going to immediately roll over, look up, and start screaming. Maybe it's just me. I don't know. Will I be freaked out? Yes. Will I be swearing? Yes. I'll be doing it as I'm running. Like, it's the most tired trope in horror that's been used. And it's different when movies are mocking it, but when you see it used as an actual plot device, it's very frustrating because the thing is, this movie is made so well. So as I'm watching it, I have a higher expectation of how they're setting stuff up, as opposed to if I'm watching something I know that's just low-hanging fruit. Okay, there's certain horror movies you watch and you know what you're going into, but when something is this well made and well put together, I know it's a little nitpick, but I expect a better setup than just, oh, no, and the creature catches up to him. Like, I don't know, maybe it's just me. You guys can let me know. But I just hate watching stupid people doing stupid shit just for the sake of advancing the plot. And it's really what takes away a few points from my score, because, spoiler alert, I'm going to score this better, but you can watch the other part, but female Pinhead was really good. No disrespect to the original. She's an actual character in the original novel, written by Clive Barker himself. Actually, the original movie changed her to a male. Thank you, Weinsteins, you sexist pigs. But yeah, she originally Pinhead, if you guys don't know, so I'll just say it again because Justin jumped in. Yes. Uh, you know, you know, thank you, Justin. If you want to jump on, you can. I can send you a link. Let me know. But yeah, I feel like this movie really did do justice since Doug Bradley's portrayal. Doug Bradley is an icon, but I think the problem is, and I've said this in the beginning of my stream, the franchise. Yeah. Hey, Kiefer, how are you? We're talking Hellraiser. the franchise has taken a turn, and Justin, just to let you know, this story was out before The Exorcist. The original novel was made way before The Exorcist. Oh, you're not sure if it'll work? Okay, so hold on a second. Let me see if I can send you a link, Justin. We'll have a surprise person. I wasn't intending on anybody being on, so this would be cool if it works. Let's see. I will send you a link, Mr. Justin Proper. Hold on. In the Twitter, I hate going through my list. I have so many people. Okay. Uh, there you go. I sent you a link. You can hop on if you choose. So, uh, yeah, I think that Pinhead has been used as a prop the past, like, from movie 5 until fuck 9. I think Pinhead has been underutilized. He's been a background piece in his own movies. And I think that this really did a lot to flesh out the Cenobites, to make them actual a threat, to make them give them more backstory. I think it was very well crafted. So David Buckner is a very good director. I did see a lot of visual cues, like in the movie The Ritual. There were some shots that I saw that he used in this movie, which fits the tone of this film very well. Um, but what else? The score. The score for this movie is very good. Um, I was disappointed that they didn't use the original Hellraiser score for the opener. Hey, Aaron, what's up? Welcome, everybody. I'm doing my Hellraiser review live because my editor is not working. So if you like these live reviews, let me know in the comment. Plus, I can interact with everyone as they pop in and out of my stream. So sit back, relax, enjoy my critique. I'm probably going to go for an hour. We'll see. But we have with us the proper one. How are you doing?
Good. How you doing?
Good, good. Just got done watching Hellraiser 2022, giving my thoughts and general critique. I don't want to give too much away because I think that it's worth people watching on Hulu. This is hit number 2 for Hulu, Justin. They're on a roll. So anyway, so I'll probably be back. But like I said, hit number 2 for Hulu. Prey was exceedingly good, so we'll see how that goes. Oh, hey, now he has a white circle.
I do. Oh man.
So, yeah, I was saying this is hit number 2 for Hulu. I thought Prey was pretty good too. Bitchy liked it as well. So,
all right, how
there
is
you
it now?
go. Huh?
How's the avatar now?
Oh, looks fine.
Okay,
Looks
I
like
never
you.
really use StreamYards on my phone, so.
Yeah, it's a bit of a bitch. So, you're a fan of the original Hellraiser, or were you kind of like me? See, I have nostalgia for movie 3 and 4. Not so much the first 2.
Yeah, I heard the second one is better, and the third one is whatever. Fourth one, and I heard most of them suck.
Oh yeah, everything after 4 is complete shit.
Okay.
You
Yeah,
could
I
tell
never really
this.
got into Hellraiser. I kind of think of it as this weird demonic supernatural ghost movie, and you know how I feel about ghost movies.
Yeah, I think this would explain for someone like you who doesn't really know the lore, not ghosts at all. They're demons from hell
Okay.
or a hell world. It's hard to explain. It's like a world between heaven and hell. There's
Yeah.
judgment and things like that. But they're actual physical creatures. Actually, one
Okay.
dies in this one, so they can be killed like human beings.
Okay, well that's relieving because all the ghost movies and the demon movies never really did it for me because they're all supernatural and they can always come back whenever they want. Like you can't really kill them. You can only exorcise them and get them off of this realm, which I think is just kind of lame and everyone does the same thing. So I didn't really think much about the first Hellraiser at all. They get back into the pyramid, the pyramid Rubik's Cube thing, and I'm like, this is lame. Actually, I think it is a cube. It is a Rubik's Cube.
Yeah, it's called the lament configuration.
I'm calling it a Rubik's Cube.
Well, basically, in layman's terms, it is a Rubik's Cube to hell, essentially. But yeah, I was saying this movie really fleshes out the lore. I had problems with the characters, and here's a weird one. The characters aren't made like 2022, but
Oh, really?
no, there's not strong female woman protagonist, that kind of
No.
nonsense.
Oh man.
But the other issue they run into is they're not much as far as characters, and I was saying that was one of my negatives. Is the main character is Riley. She's an addict addicted to pills and alcohol, and there's a theme of addiction. My issue is that she doesn't really have a fucking arc. She starts off in one place, and in a sense, she does kind of grow because she overcomes her addictions, but the payoff for that is not as fulfilling because of the fact that I really don't know shit about her. So when you start the movie and you're introduced to Riley, she's living with her brother. She gets kicked out. He's tired of her shit. I'm like, okay, cool. They're setting something up. She's going to be the main person who's going to have to make these choices and battle Pinhead and all of this. And it's going to feed into this theme of her being addicted and things like that. And I think David Bruckner hit it with the lore and the villains, which is good because you want good villains in your movie. The problem is he didn't give us heroes. And this movie is dark as shit. And I was saying one of my issues that I have and with Hellraiser in general is the material is so bleak that I feel like you need to have a good guy, a hero to kind of lighten things up. Otherwise, you just have this really bleak, dark, torture, mayhem kind of thing. And you don't
like
have
you
light
need
at the end of the
do you
tunnel.
need like an Ash equivalent?
Yes, like Evil Dead is fucked up material, but yet you can go from 1 minute seeing someone ripped apart, gory, and then laughing the next minute because Bruce Campbell will have a zany one-liner. And I think that Evil Dead balances that extreme violence with good humor, whereas Hellraiser's not meant to be humorous. It is a serious thing, but you still need a person to latch onto as a viewer. And I think the biggest weakness of this remake, which once again I'm nitpicking because I thoroughly enjoyed this, is the fact that there's the original's protagonist, her name was Christy Cotton, and a lot of people like her, but this was a problem even in the 80s. She has fucking nothing to her. And no one
There's she had no personality. Other than
she had
her
no
father's
personality.
messed up, and her stepmom is like kind of a bitch, and also seeing her uncle, who's also creepy and weird, and is like needs to be rebirthed. You know, and
that's
like
what. And I've had this problem with people who hail her as like a great Survivor girl. She's not, because when you look at Survivor girls, like they all have something that's cool, like Sydney from Scream, right? She's very fleshed out. We have literally gotten to experience her journey through college into adulthood. We know her. We know what she's like. With the problem the Hellraiser series has always had is there's no character we get attached to. So you're watching all this dark shit and you can just kind of come off depressed and you're like, well, I like the villains. The effects were cool. The story was pretty good. I mean, and it gets huge points for the story because you need that to keep people engaged. But when you get to the end of the story, you're like, well, I didn't really fucking care about the gay guy. I didn't care about the douchebag who I knew was betraying them. I didn't fucking care about Riley. So I guess I wished hell won.
yeah, that's kind of a weird situation to be in. And you know, the same thing I could argue with Friday the 13th, like the first one.
Oh yeah,
the Alice kind of sucked.
Yeah. Friday the 13th is notorious.
No personality either.
None of those characters. Maybe Tommy Jarvis is the only one who has.
Well, there's a
Like,
couple. There's a few that are pretty good, but other than that, it's just like, they're disposable bodies like they're supposed to be. You're supposed to root for the villain in a way.
yeah, and with Hellraiser, it has this contradiction that's kind of built into the story itself, where we're supposed to have somebody who is for us, right? Who is for humanity. They're
Yeah.
the person we're supposed to latch onto. But when you take someone who has hardly no humanity, and then you have a girl who could be on the fence, and then other characters
Yeah,
are just there
it
to get
complicates
killed.
things a
It's
bit. Hey,
yeah,
I'm
it's like
sorry. I'm sorry. I got to get going. But yeah, we got to talk more about this. Maybe I should at least give it a watch, see if I like it, see if it's better than the first film at least.
yeah, I
Because
mean, if you didn't care for the first film, I think you might like this one a lot better. It explains things a lot more.
well, I'm
So,
glad. And is there still a Rubik's cube?
oh yeah, yeah.
Oh God!
But now it does different shit. It changes into different stuff.
Like, does it turn into a golf ball or a tree or?
No, 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 no. You'll see. I don't want to ruin
Okay, well, I
the
look forward
spoilers
to
for
it. Anyways, you have a good stream. All right.
you. Yes, thank
All
you.
right. See ya. Bye.
And here's the reviews. You get random people popping up, so go check out Justin's channel, Justin Proper's channel. We do reviews together. Bruce Campbell, yeah, Bruce Campbell. I want to be your best friend. Yeah, Bruce Campbell, and that's what I'm saying. One of my issues with this movie franchise in general, and it's nothing, and not a knock on this film, is that I don't think anyone has cracked the code of making a protagonist that is flawed but yet we could root for. And I don't know why in Hellraiser in particular they don't do this, but it's like it's a big balancing act. Now, on the side of the lore, I think David Bruckner gets a 10 out of 10 for lore. He really dives deep. He gives you just enough to know what's going on, but not too much to ruin the mystery. And once again, my problem with horror movies is that they want to explain the creature. Everybody who directs thinks you got to give everybody answers because they're screaming for them. And in a sense, you do have to give more for the audience to be more intrigued, but you don't have to give them everything. I think people who ask for everything don't really want everything. They want enough to still be invested. You string them along, and this movie does a really good job of giving breadcrumbs to what the lore is and reeling you in, but not giving you too much to where you don't care about learning more. The Cenobites are still very mysterious. The High Priestess is still a very mysterious character. We don't know where she comes from. There's a scene at the very end, which I give kudos to. It's very weird, but I've seen Hellraiser 2, so I want to say it's a nod to that, and it kind of harkens back to something. And I thought it was very cool. I thought it was a good hook to being excited for what the future can hold. And really, I consider this movie more of a stepping stone, kind of like what Prey was. This was getting the franchise back on track. Yeah, the Cenobites are great. I love the Cenobites. I was upset about what happened to one of them. I'm not going to give it away, but watch the movie. But it was distressing. Rose, what's up, Rose? Just doing a review on the brand new Hellraiser. Strap in. I've been going for a half hour, giving you my thoughts, opinions. I'm going to give a score. And if you guys like me doing these live reviews, let me know in the comments and things like that. And I might just do them for October. I've got a lot of movies. I'm seeing Terrifier 2. I'll have a review up for that. I'm 50-50 on the first one, but I heard the second one is really good, so it might change my mind. But overall, this movie was, for me, I guess I'm a fan, a pretty big fan since I was a kid. Like I said, I seen 3 and 4 in the theaters, but I'm not like one of those really crazy lore people who get really bent out of shape about changes. For me, this was a good return to form. There's been 9 Hellraiser movies. Fucking 9 movies. This thing struggled past 4, at least in my opinion. Some people will tell you 3 was the downfall. I think after 4, it really hit a low point for the franchise. This movie resets that and gives us a fresh start. And David Bruckner starts to build mythology, and he's following close to what's already been published and established, but he's also throwing in his own stuff that is adding, not subtracting to what we've already had. I can't stress enough that I think wholeheartedly David Bruckner should continue making these movies. I think he should be helming it. David S. Goyer is very interesting. He did some of the screenplay. A lot of people hate him. If you guys don't know who David S. Goyer is, he's responsible for Smallville, one of my all-time favorite shows, and things like that. And for some reason, especially Superman fans, they fucking hate him. I think Smallville is a treasure to all of us. It produced one of the best Lex Luthors I've seen in media. I would put him like neck and neck with Gene Hackman. Michael Rosenbaum did Lex Luthor great. He had the bald head. He was maniacal. David S. Goyer wrote those scripts. And he did some of the CW, the original Arrow show, Flash, things like that. So it was weird seeing him go from that to Hellraiser, but I think he does a good job. Some of the scenes do feel like a Goyer scene. People tripping for no fucking reason. That feels like very much a television show thing. Like they don't know what to do, so the person just trips. But other than that, there wasn't really a lot in the writing I could pick apart. Like I said, just we need better protagonists, like better central characters. I think you can hold up the franchise on the Cenobites only so long before people need somebody who they can call like the star of the franchise. And I don't think they found that. I don't think they found their Sydney or, you know, whoever else, Tommy, whoever else you want to use as that final person. They haven't found that person that really clicks with general audiences. And I'm not the only reviewer to say this. A lot of reviewers have commented on how the main protagonist is a 50-50 for them. And I feel the same way. On the one hand, she's a piece of shit because she does fuck over a lot of people and get things started. But on the other hand, there is an arc there. But by the time I get there, I really don't care about her redeeming herself. And that's a problem when you have a movie like this that depends on you caring about your protagonist. If people don't care about the hero of the story and you just have a good villain, you're still missing 50% of the puzzle. Like, pun intended. You're missing 50% of what makes a movie great. Like, there's something to be said that a bad villain will tank a movie. But just as important, a bad protagonist will equally tank the movie. Because if you have a villain who's given it their all, and you have a protagonist that sucks, sure, people will talk about your villain, but they won't have anyone else they care about. And that's largely what this movie is. Like, seriously, this is the worst group of friends I've ever seen. I don't like using the word toxic, but their friendship is fucking toxic. These people, if you pointed these people out and told me they were friends, I would have to question you about their friendship or get them all into a group to talk, because they are absolutely the worst friends I've ever seen in a horror movie. Like, look, I've watched Friday the 13th and Freddy and all of these, right? And you know, you get the stereotypical people and, you know, the asshole jock and the pretty girl who sleeps with everyone, and then the one who's virtuous and probably going to be the hero. And then, you know, it's all there. But what really is crazy to me about this movie is every person in this film is a piece of shit. I thought like they made the gay guy sympathetic, but he's a piece of shit. The boyfriend's a piece of shit. The main hero is a piece of shit. She's awful. She's an addict, and she doesn't really take responsibility for almost fucking killing everybody and damn near killing everybody. So when I get to the end of this movie, I'm like, well, I really like the bad guy. I really like the story, but those people were god awful. So it's like with horror movies, you have to at least have somebody who's marginally you're able to care for, especially with a movie as serious as this. And that is my biggest negative for this film, is that I really didn't give a shit about anybody. And hopefully the next film or the series will take care of that and they'll build some people who are likable. But this material is too dark, and the graphic nature of the kills and things like that, it's too violent to really lend itself to being so bleak and having you have no one to root for. So hopefully David Bruckner builds us a better group of people, because this first group was just terrible, terrible people. I did not enjoy any of them. And to be honest with you, I was quite happy when a good majority of them died. Still on the fence about the gay guy. He was okay. He was just a fucking idiot. And, Riley, I'm 50-50 on. She's all right. Now, what other positives do I have? I mean, I really talked about the visuals. Oh, the sound. The sound effects in this are truly the star of this. There's a scene, not giving away spoilers, but y'all know what Pinhead uses, and there's chains and shit. And yeah, this person is bent back uncomfortably, and I cringed. You could hear their bones breaking as they're being pulled in opposite directions. It was fucking gnarly. The atmosphere music was very eerie, and just the overall underlining new score that they give to the original Hellraiser score, it fits the movie very well. I was disappointed because they didn't play the original intro for Hellraiser until the end. I thought that was a good way to cap off the movie, but it was kind of a weird choice. I would have liked to, I think it would have gotten people pumped up for the movie. That's just my personal opinion. The sound design is all very good. One-liners. Yes. The new Pinhead has some great one-liners. She gives a whole monologue about pain and pleasure. It was very, very interesting, and weirdly, it was it was both seductive and horrifying, because as she's giving this speech, it's to the character who's being bent into a very uncomfortable position. I thought, like I said, Jamie, she really nails the role of Pinhead. It is terrifying. Let me see. Sound score. The color was good. The background was good. The shots were all pretty decent. Yeah, other than that, there's really nothing much more to say about the movie. It's a pretty decent watch. The time. So, directors, for the last time, please, for the love of God and my social life, stop making movies 2 hours long. Like, who the fuck has time to watch all these 2-hour movies? I am so sick and tired of going to watch a film and seeing it's 2 hours plus. I really hate the fact of that literally watching one movie is the equivalent of me catching up on several episodes of a show that I have to review. Now, thankfully, there are no other shows until Wednesday/Tuesday, super late. But it's just, you could have taken 20 minutes out of this movie, tightened some things up, and it would have been right in the perfect zone. I think the 2-hour runtime is a little bit long. That's why I'm saying in the beginning of the movie, you really got to stick with it, because for that first hour, they're setting everything up. And the last hour and 50 minutes or so really are when shit starts happening. It's a very slow build. And as far as the pacing goes, it does speed up and then it slows down dead center at about the 50-minute mark. And then at about the 45-minute mark, it picks back up and it's nonstop crazy shit until the end. I thought it was a very weird choice, and I do not like a separation like that. It's jarring and it takes you out of the movie when you're building so much momentum, and then it resets and you have to do that last bit of momentum, or it starts you off on a really crazy high, and it's very jolting as a movie experience because it's building. I'm on the edge of my seat, and then bam, we hit a high point, and then bam, we slow back down, and it's just like, okay, this is the last 50 minutes of this movie. Like, we need to pick it up. Come on, let's go. But other than that, these are minor nitpicks. It's like I'm trying my best to fairly critique this. And all in all, this wasn't a bad movie. Hellraiser 2022, I think, is a great start to rebooting this franchise. I think it needed it. This thing has fucking 9 movies, and about the last half of them, from 5 to 9, are trash. There was no way this movie could do anything but be better. And with David Bruckner manning it, I had no doubt that the movie was going to be better than 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9 of Hellraiser. Those were all like train wrecks. So this is a really good movie. Now, would I put it up there above, like, 2 or 1? I definitely put it above 2 because I wasn't really a fan of Hellraiser 2. But 1 is still iconic for a reason. It's got perfect pacing, the perfect time, the good themes, the characters are more fleshed out. But this is a good start, and this fleshes out the villain and the backstory about what's going on. It gives you enough, but not too much to where you don't give a shit about learning more. I'm very intrigued, and I would like to see where they go from here. I heard they're doing a television show, and they're going to maybe do another movie. I think David Bruckner should handle everything Hellraiser. He clearly understands the myth. He gets the villain, and he nails it 100%. Just work on your characters, because my God, these characters were fucking terrible. For the love of God, give us someone we like. That's my only request. Like, David, if you ever come across me in my awesome hat, David, please, for the love of God, write some good, compelling characters. Like, I'm not saying you need a Chrissy Cotton or something, but give us someone who's halfway decent, because these people were just fucking terrible, terrible people. I did not like any of them. But other than that, the movie's quite enjoyable. I'd say if you're in the mood for something spooky, and there is lots of gore, not so much in the beginning, but holy shit, the ending, when they do the gore in a way that when somebody gets it, boy, they get it, but they don't make it obsessive. There is a couple of sex scenes in here, some lots of swearing, and themes of addiction and things like that. So this isn't a movie for the kiddies. Like, honestly, I've shown my daughter a lot of stuff, but this would be a movie I would wait before we watch this till she gets older, because the themes in here are more adult, and I think I appreciate this the most. It's a very adult horror movie. You deal a lot with drug addiction and addiction to power, and what that means. I think that those kinds of themes are stuff that are explored on a very surface level, but they're still too much for a younger audience to kind of grasp or comprehend. And yeah, I would like to see another movie. And honestly, this should have been in the theaters. What the fuck, Hulu? But anyways, I'm gonna call it right here. I think an hour is a good place to sort of end the stream and my thoughts on this. And hopefully my editor is working so I can get Terrifier 2 review out for you guys. Terrifier 2, I've had it queued up, started watching it, and holy shit, right from the beginning, I could tell this is going to be a wild ride, so I can't wait to bring that to you guys. If you like this live stream, if you're on my Twitter, let me know, or if you are here catching me on the first time on YouTube, leave comments below and let me know if you like this format, and I can interact with people as I do my review. And, you know, if you have questions about the movies and stuff, if it's a non-spoiler, I will try to answer them the best I can without spoiling the movie. If it's spoiler, I will answer everything. So in the comments below, let me know, what did you think about Hellraiser 2022? How do you think it did respecting the lore? Did you like the new Pinhead? I could not tell that this female was originally a male. So once again, good on you, Doctor, whoever you are. But yeah, I think that I look forward to seeing her reprise the role, and I'm excited for the future of Hellraiser. And as always, remember the only rule here in the fandom zone: we have such sights to show you.